Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Friday, May 7th, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London, 12:30 in Hamilton, and in Mexico City it's 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. 65 years ago today, in a two-story red brick schoolhouse in Reims, France, the Germans signed the surrender documents ending the war in Europe. World War II in Europe was over. Next day, May 8th, was VE Day, or Victory over Europe. Go to our main stories now. Well, where to begin? There's a couple of big ones. Let's start with the most recent. The U.S. jobs report came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time this morning, and people were astounded. April payrolls went up by 290,000 new jobs. This is the biggest increase in 4 years. Jobless rate actually increased a little bit to 9.9%, but this is because more people were streaming back into the workforce because the work prospects look better. 66,000 of those 290,000 jobs are temporary jobs to help the government conduct the census. However, 231,000 private sector positions were added. Again, this is the most since March of 2006. The spread was really widespread. Every sector of the economy, in fact, showed an increase in job growth. Consumers now have increased their spending in March by the largest amount in 5 months. Factory production grew in April at the fastest pace in 6 years. These are the latest pieces of evidence that businesses are feeling more confident about the recovery and that things are looking better all around. Also encouraging were the revisions to the February and March job numbers. Payrolls increased, in fact, by 230,000 in March, better than what had been reported of 160,000. And also, February had been reported to show a negative 14,000 jobs, 14,000 losses. In fact, 39,000 jobs were actually added. So all in all, the job sector, things in the U.S. are actually looking pretty good. Let's go over to Britain right now. Hung Parliament. There are no moving bans in front of 10 Downing Street right now to move Gordon Brown on the left out. It's not happening yet. What happened is that the Conservatives, the Tories, ended up with the largest number of seats in the Parliament. Labour did surprisingly well, actually, and then the Liberal Democrats actually lost 2 seats. However, the Tories did not gain a majority, so there is no automatic fiat now for the Conservative leader David Cameron to come in and start forming the government. However, he is ready to put forward a big and comprehensive offer to the Liberal Democrats to help him put together a coalition. He told reporters that a stable government is necessary to calm financial markets. He said that the Conservatives would promise to implement parts of the Liberal Democrat platform, but stopped short of offering to fulfill their demand of electoral reform. About an hour earlier, standing in front of 10 Downing Street, where he still lives, Gordon Brown said that he's prepared to speak to any other party about forming an alliance. He reached out to the Liberal Democrats saying he backed the third party's call for electoral reform, and he said that there should be immediate action. He said there needs to be immediate legislation on this to restore the public's trust. I'm willing to see any of the party leaders about making a deal. What does Nick Clegg, Kingmaker, think? Well, Clegg's sticking to a comment that he made during the election in which he said that the party had gained the most seats and the most votes should have the first right to govern. He repeated that again today. He said, I think now is the time for the Conservative Party to prove that it's capable of seeking to govern in the national interest. We'll see what happens there. Well, one thing that we saw happen here yesterday was a real roller coaster on Wall Street. And just a personal anecdote, at about 2 p.m. or so, I went out of my office and down to our newsroom and spoke to our producer, and I said, the stock market's down 400 points. He got onto Yahoo and he checked and he said, no, it's not, it's down 900 points. I said, oh my goodness. I went back and there on cable TV it was down 900 points. It dipped in all about 1,000 points almost. It's the biggest intraday trading drop. People are pulling their hair out over all this. Apparently Accenture at some point went from about $41 down to 40 cents. People are thinking that it could be a symptom of so-called fat fingerism. Fat fingerism is if somebody hits a button putting in the wrong amount. And since all of these things are electronic now, 60% of the Dow is in fact electronic, it could be that what occurred was an electronic error which then triggered, because of a giant dip made by an improper entry, it then triggered the algorithmic trading, which feeds off of movements in the markets and begins to happen automatically. It's like the doomsday machine. Once it's started, it can't stop. None of the automatic shutoffs kicked in. The high-speed trading continued to go on. And what's happening now is next week, the Congress is calling the people who operate the NASDAQ and the New York Exchange down to Washington to investigate it on national TV. The stock market right now is down about 103 points. It was a pretty scary afternoon, though, and it's reinforced fears amongst consumers that Wall Street is indeed a rigged casino. These fears, of course, have only been accentuated by the Goldman Sachs debacle. All of this happened against the backdrop of the Obama administration pushing and pushing through on his financial reform bill. It looks as if it's going to be passed sometime in the next week. Some of the trades were actually canceled by the NYSE and by NASDAQ. The SEC is involved investigating. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission is investigating. I'm sure it's only going to be a matter of time until Andrew Cuomo surfaces to begin to investigate. Apparently what happened is that some market participants are speculating that a trader at Citigroup had erroneously placed an order for at least $16 billion in something called E-mini contracts. These are stock market index futures that trade on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange Globex trading platform. However, a source familiar with the situation said that Citigroup had traded only $9 billion of E-mini contracts, adding that amount was less than 3% of the $320 billion traded on the E-mini yesterday. However, sources continue to tell people such as Reuters that the plunge in the Dow Jones might have been caused by an erroneous trade entered by a person at a big Wall Street bank. Procter & Gamble, for example, went down 37% in just 1 minute. We don't know what caused it, said P&G. We know that it was an electronic trade and we're looking into it. One New York Stock Exchange employee leaving the big board's headquarters at 4:30 said that the P&G share plunge lay at the center of whatever happened. I'll give you a tip, he said, speaking on anonymity conditions. P&G, check out the low sale today. Something screwed up with the system. Traded down $30 at one point. We're all slaves to our machines. You know what it's like when you come into your office in the morning and the computer's not working? You get the feeling that maybe you should just turn around and go home. Well, just keep in mind where your 401k is. You don't have it. Your broker doesn't have it. The machines have it. Nothing proved that better than yesterday. Thank goodness it recovered. Well, back to the other story. Big, big, big. Greece. The Germans have come through. After one of the most contentious debates in years in Berlin, both houses of the German parliament, this is the upper house pictured here, approved the lending package to Greece. The Germans will in fact lend Greece 22.4 billion euros. This is part of the IMF injection. The Bundestag, the lower house, voted 391 out of 622 to approve it, and the Bundesrat, which is the upper house, which you just showed, also came in with a clear majority. In addition to this, other countries such as France and Italy, and even Portugal and Spain, have approved their contributions to the IMF. So, with any luck now, Greece in fact could be in line to be rescued finally. Oh, and just in case, there is another big story floating around. Maybe we can bring this up. This is familiar. People who have been trapped in European airports for a period of time last month staring at screens looking at this picture. Well, you might be trapped again. Icelandic meteorologists are saying that the ash cloud could be surging back to life. Yesterday, a plume of ash reaching 4 miles up into the air was detected at the volcano. Apparently, the eruption has changed back to an explosive eruption. It's no longer just lava. Ash plumes are coming up to the point where they're 37 kilometers above the lip of the volcano, which itself is already significantly high. And it said that there will be no sign